Hi, Josh Hanish here with 329. Thank you for watching this second episode in our webinar series about multi-channel marketing. This webinar series is to empower you to use all of the marketing channels at your disposal to increase the ROI of your marketing efforts. It's also intended to help you to figure out where you can actually see that ROI. A lot of people that we are working with at different companies don't really understand where they're getting the best return for their marketing dollars. So we're going to help you with that today. And we're going to be focusing on in-person events. So if we go to the deck here, which, by the way, we are going to be giving away all of these decks for free at the end of this webinar series. So stay tuned for that. And what that means is you can go through each webinar again and have each deck and use it to help you plan your marketing for your company to help increase sales. So again, this is a review from last week. The channels are digital, physical, in-person, and referral. Today, we're going to be talking about conferences, and I'm talking specifically about having a booth at a conference, just networking events in general, webinars / speaking events, and the speaking events can also be part of a conference. So you can obviously attend a conference as a speaker. Sponsored events, again, those can be separate items as far as like sponsoring a charity golf tournament or an industry event or like a chamber event. But you can also be a conference sponsor. And then the last part is sales team support. And we're not going to talk about that today, actually. We're going to spend a whole episode on sales team support because it is a huge topic. And that is where we excel as a team. Companies hire us because they don't have an internal marketing team to support their sales team. And we work hand in hand with multiple sales teams across many different companies to ensure that they have everything they need to get the job done and make those sales. We also strategize with them as well at a high level to make sure that they're going after clients in the right way. We're going to be talking about strategies for conference, but they also work for other in-person events. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. We're going to be talking about conferences, but these strategies that I'm going to talk about today work for any type of in-person event. We're going to skip like the very nitty-gritty like booth and ice-breaking tactics. So like what I mean by that is booth design, what like icebreakers in terms of like how you can start a conversation with somebody. I'm going to help you at a high level to figure that out. But that gets very into the weeds in terms of the type of booth you're going to have, what industry you're in, the conference. So we're not going to talk about that today, but we're going to talk about it at a high level. The biggest thing is when you're at an in-person event, just make sure that you are focused on building meaningful connections. At the very least, that means if you're at a networking event, don't try to talk to everybody in the room. Talk to maybe 2 or 3 people. And when I say talk to, I mean, obviously say hi to other people, but really focus on 2 or 3 people that you want to get to know at that event. And the same is true for conferences. Don't just, if you didn't get a contact form submission or you didn't get an email, but you gave away all your tchotchkes, that's not meaningful. I'd rather you have not given away anything, but had 10 meaningful conversations that are going to turn into 5 legitimate clients. And then the other thing that a lot of clients that we've seen when we work with them, they miss is post-conference or post-event engagement. So much time and effort is put into what's going to happen at the event that people lose sight of post-event tactics. So here's today broken down: pre-conference interactions, during conference interactions, and post-conference interactions. So here is how to get the most out of a conference, looking at it from the pre-conference interaction point of view. So if you're a sponsor or a speaker, you should immediately request attendee email and possibly text lists. So some conferences, well, obviously all conferences have the contact information for all their attendees, but some of them don't offer them up as part of like the sponsorship package or the speaker package. If they don't, ask them for it. And if it's within your budget to purchase that list, I would purchase it. Make sure though that you're using both lists wisely. Do not spam people. And we'll talk about what we would recommend as far as like the cadence should be for those events or pre-event contacts. And part of that is you should be planning promotions, games, or events to gather contact information. So again, this is for sponsor and speaker only. Sponsors sometimes don't get any stage time. Speakers, obviously, you're up there and you're giving a speech on something. But if you're a sponsor, you're not on stage, so you're never in front of anybody. Speaker, you're only in front of people once, and then you're kind of out of sight, out of mind. So think of ways for you to engage people outside of your time on the stage. Same for sponsors. You're not even on the stage. So make sure that you plan an event or something that's within your budget so that you can attract people and so that they can talk to you and not just rely on your signage to get the point across. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So if you have a booth, again, request email lists from the organizers and the text lists. And then for both, and I'm just going to go back, for both sponsors or speakers, and if you have a booth, you want to email attendees with booth details and incentives beforehand. If you are a speaker or a sponsor, you want to email ahead of time where they can meet you. Meaning, if I was speaking at an event, I would say in an email, hey, Josh Hanish here, great to meet you. I'm going to be speaking at your event on X. I'm going to be at whatever, the bar in the hotel or somewhere for drinks, or you get the idea, to talk more about specific strategies that are unique to your business. You can also include a contact form, like, drinks are on me, or dinner's on me, or appetizer on me. If you fill out this form, and I can let the restaurant know like how many people are going to be coming. That's a great way to get contact information from people, even if they don't show up. You have their contact info. Again, if there is not an attendee list or a text message list, that's really beneficial. But you also need to think about some of these conferences, it's just the company itself that's signing up for the event and not the individual attendees. So having that second contact form, if you sent it to like an organization, they may send it out to their other attendees that are going to the event. Or if it's like a manager, like let's say there's 5 people going from the company, but only the manager is on the contact form. The person or the people that work underneath that manager may not be on the registration list or on the attendee list with contact information. That manager could send that email and be like, oh, hey, George, well, I want you to go talk to Josh after he speaks. Like, here's his contact form so you can get, free drink or free dinner or something like that. Same thing for like, if there's a game or a giveaway, come find me at such and such place after the event. The best giveaway, in my opinion, is a summation of what you talked about if you're a speaker. If you're a sponsor, depending on logistics and who you have going to the event, you could have people basically taking notes the entire conference, combining all of those into one document. And then you can just tell people, hey, after the event, we're going to send out a whole conference recap for everybody. Or you could actually say, we're going to be at such and such bar or at so-and-so place with QR codes for you to scan and get a free PDF version of all the conference materials on the last day. Then you're gonna have people coming up to you, scanning your QR code, and you're getting immediate contact information from them. Plus your brand's getting out there, and then you're looked at favorably because you're providing a really great resource for people who are attending the conference. Because let's be honest, these conferences can be vast, they can be long, and some people can't attend every single event. So you're providing a huge value add if you do that. If you have a booth, make sure you're telling them what booth you're going to be at and ask them to stop by for a very specific reason. Could be to play a game, it could be a promotion, it could be a giveaway. But make sure that you tell them what booth you're at so they can find you. And feel free, I would say in this cadence of the emails, you can send one, maybe two. One like 2 weeks out, and then maybe one the day before, just to remind people. And that's it. I wouldn't send any more than that. Okay, during the conference interactions. So again, if you're a sponsor or a speaker, follow through on what you promised in the pre-conference emails. If you said you're going to be at such and such bar giving away X, please be there doing that. Same thing, like if you're going to take notes, if you're going to have your team take notes on the conference and then put it into a PDF and give it to people on the last day, if they come by and scan the QR code, make sure you have that ready. Also, make sure you capture real-time content and post on social media and tag attendees if possible. Don't forget that the conference is a before, during, and after. It's not like, oh, we're at the conference, like we're just going to rest easy in the fact that our company's name is all over the place, or I have an hour speaking engagement. You should be posting before, during, and after. Meaning before you go up on stage, possibly while you're on stage, and after. Social media, if you use the right hashtags, especially if the organization that's putting on the conference has specific hashtags, is a great way to engage people and just to show your personality. Again, social media is another great way to invite people to come to your planned get together. You could potentially send another email or a text at the event that says, hey, don't forget, I'll be here at such and such time. Please come on by. The other thing that's really cool is if you're a speaker, during your speech, you can offer a post-conference Zoom recap of what you talked about, and then you can get attendees to sign up. So assuming there's a projector with a screen, you can have a QR code up there and say, hey, sign up, use this QR code, sign up for my Zoom session on whatever, Wednesday after the conference. And another way to just stay in front of and keep engaging with people. If you have a booth, focus on having meaningful conversations. So part of your pre-conference email could be a survey that's 1 to 3 questions, 3 max. You don't even need people's names, especially if you know that you have all the attendees. You don't need to keep asking people for their information. But get people to tell you what they're interested in. They are going to this conference for a very specific reason or a couple of reasons. If you can get that out of them, that is a great icebreaker. I know we said we're not going to talk about specific icebreakers, and I'm not. I'm just saying that you can try to suss out why people are coming to the conference and use that as a way to start a conversation with someone. So let's say you sent an email and there's 2 options, and maybe the one is a write-in, so there's 3 options. Let's say you realize that let's say it's an HR conference, and the 2 most common reasons why people are attending the conference is to learn how to handle paid vacation for remote workers, and then sick time for remote workers. You could start the conversation. Someone comes up to your booth and be like, oh, hey, I've heard that a lot of people are interested in attending this conference because they don't know much about this. Do you know a lot about this? And that's a great lead-in, especially if it relates to your company and the services and products you provide. So give that some thought. Think about, how can I ask the right question or questions ahead of the conference so that I'm given ammunition to use when I'm trying to attract people to come to my booth. So you can use that strategically, use it in conjunction with your industry. Also use QR codes as lead generators. So basically you can use QR codes all over your booth to serve many different purposes. Some is to give information, some is to get information. So one thing that you could do as part of your giveaway is, if you know that you're going to have current clients or customers there, you could invite them to your booth. Maybe that's a separate email just to them ahead of time or during the conference that says, hey, stop by the booth, get a free gift card to wherever, if you give us a 30-second testimonial. And you can set it up to where you don't even need to be there. They can just scan the QR code, leave a testimonial, have it sent off, and then the gift card can be sent to them automatically. Again, this is making sure that it's happening easy for you. So that's just one way to do it. You could have people there recording somebody and then giving them the gift card once they complete the testimonial. Again, you can use QR codes to have people do product or service demos, or to fill out contact forms to get more lead information. And again, I already talked about this, but a conference recap of key sessions or the entire conference. So trying to give people value without only just trying to suck information out of them. It needs to be a two-way street. And then the other thing is, again, just being mindful of capturing real-time content and post on social media and tag attendees, and then invite them to stop by. All right, post-conference interactions. If you are a sponsor or a speaker, send a thank you email and recap key points of your speech. If you're a sponsor, I would just send another thank you, just saying, hey, thanks for attending. If you have a subgroup of people that came to your very specific meet and greet at the bar that you scheduled for people, you could send a very targeted email just to those individuals. Again, share a free resource or offer exclusive conference promotions for only the people that came to the conference, or for only the people that came to your special event, like within the conference. And then if you have a booth, make sure that, depending on who's at your booth with you from your team, make sure you organize the contact list first with notes and review them all together as a team before you start reaching out to people after the conference. Make sure you divide the follow-ups among the team and focus on calls first and emails second. Chances are you've already been sending emails to these people, and my thought is these people that if you got their leads from having conversations with them, again, that would be something to mark on the lead, on the contact list. If you've already had a conversation with them, then a phone call is a natural next step, not an email. That just puts you back into the impersonal zone. If it's a contact form and that's how the person reached out to you, via scanning a QR code, a phone call would still be great, would still be nice. Most people like that. But an email would make sense as the next step, and then maybe a phone call. And then again, post-event content and thank yous to attendees for visiting your booth. Again, that could just be everybody. I think it means more if you just send it to the people that came to your booth. So again, why go through all this work? It's the foundation of great marketing and business development. You will be able to see after the conference, you'll be able to track the leads. So, okay, you start off with all the attendees' information. Let's say that you start with that, because not all conferences do. Then you can whittle it down either by just cross-referencing names from deals that you closed post-conference and saying, oh, I wouldn't have met, Barbara if it hadn't been for the conference, and we were able to get her as a client 2 months later. But even more specifically, it'd be great if you could track it down to the booth, where it's like, oh, well, John came by, he scanned this QR code, and we reached out to him. And because he scanned the QR code that was tied to the conference recap materials, oh, well, maybe we'll do that again. And obviously you wouldn't just do that off of one person, but if you're looking at the data and let's say you have 100 contacts that scanned a QR code to get the conference recap materials out of, let's say 400 people that you talked with, that's 25% of the people that you talked with that you now know, okay, they scanned the QR code, got the conference materials, and we closed half of those. And those were the only clients that we got from the conference. So that tells you a couple things. One, the conference is valuable. And two, people really enjoy having the conference materials summarized for them at the end. And that is a great lead gen for you. Now, let's go back and say, okay, well, you had the conference summary materials, and then you also had a game at your booth. Well, let's say you didn't close any leads. There's a couple ways this can play out. Let's say you didn't close any leads from the conference recap materials, but you closed them from the game. Well, that can tell you that, well, maybe the game is reaching a better audience. Or what will probably happen is more people are going to play the game than want the conference recap material. And if you close business from that game, then great. We're going to focus on, having that game at all of our conferences. I'm just trying to come up with different ideas around like fictitious scenarios. So these strategies are going to be very specific to your company. And when we're working with clients, like, we obviously become one of their team members. So we're able to offer like very specific strategies and a whole framework on how to roll this out to require as little work as possible. I'm just coming up with ideas off the top of my head, and hopefully you're being able to take this, digest it, and see how it applies to your specific company and industry. And I kind of already touched on the last two bullet points. The biggest reason why you're putting in all this work is to determine ROI. You don't want to waste your time or your resources on marketing that is not working for you. If you go to 3 conferences and you are not closing any deals from these conferences, then either you need to change how you approach conferences or stop going to conferences. If you don't have these systems in place, you're not going to know what's working and what's not working. And the more granular you can get per conference, the more you can know, okay, well, the next conference we're going to, we're not going to put as much time and work into the game, because the post-conference material recap is what people really want the most. Or you know what? We're not going to do either one of those. People really enjoyed the happy hour, and we were able to have honest conversations with individuals, which allowed us to show our personality and make them feel validated and seen. And so we're going to show up to conferences, we're going to have a booth, but we're really going to focus most of our efforts on getting people to go to the happy hour. So again, this is just something for you to use within your industry and within your company. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments in the LinkedIn post below. Be happy to answer those questions next week during our webinar. And I wish you the best of luck in planning for your conferences. And if you ever need any help or advice, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be happy to consult with you and work with you on your conference. I appreciate your time. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you